Full disclosure, the voice you are listening to now is artificially generated, brought to you by satisphonic.com. See the link in the description for more details. What's the biggest green flag that could be misinterpreted as a red flag? Being forthcoming. Some people wear their heart on their sleeve, and I wear mine on a 60-foot neon billboard 15 feet above my head. Being able to own up to and speak to personal faults and failings could easily be misread at the beginning stages of dating. I once told a woman I was seeing that I was having some feelings of jealousy over something, that I recognized those feelings as irrational, and she didn't need to do anything different. I was just letting her know. She immediately ended things. In hindsight, just a sign that things weren't going to work anyway, but sheesh. I'd like to let you know, I've had jealous boyfriends too in the past. Who hasn't? But my current one once opened up about his past, the reason why he'd get jealous, etc. I love the fact he told me, and told him to communicate whenever there's anything up, so we can either talk about it, or I can be aware of how I handle the situation. He deals with all my trauma. Why shouldn't I deal with his? Obviously, as long as it's dealt with healthily. I have my boundaries too, as does everyone. So please don't be discouraged about being open about it. Oh my God, is this the missing piece of my brain? This is so counterintuitive to me, that it is a green or could be misconstrued as a red flag. Know that what I've been doing is a massive red flag early in a relationship. I always try to improve, and sometimes when people are messing with me, it goes over my head, because I genuinely can't distinguish. Edit. Some basic grammar. Had a co-worker saying that the way I talk about my ex is both a red and green flag. Because I speak very highly of her, it seems like I'm still hung up, but it's also good that I'm not someone constantly talking shit on my ex. I think a good relationship with exes is a green flag. Not a weird, obsessive hang-up, but people whose previous relationships didn't end in a big fucking disaster speaks to their ability to choose good partners and to end things with maturity and grace, if the time comes. If your boyfriend or girlfriend, one crazy ex, well, everyone has bad luck sometimes. If they tell you all of their exes are insane, you're probably going to be the next one. Close relationship with a parent. Yes, I've met mama's boys, but also sons who are attentive to his mom or dad. Same for daughters. Agreed, there's a difference between having a close and healthy relationship with your parents and having an unhealthy mama's boy daddy's girl relationship with your parents, where they're just enabling your ineptitude and immaturity. Same goes for with siblings. I've had guys call my relationship with my brother creepy or weird just because we get along so well and are always there for each other. I'm sorry, it's apparently normal to have a toxic or sibling rivalry relationship. Holy shit, I had an ex like this. Me and my brother have always been insanely close. I spend lots of time with his kids as well, and my ex found it so weird that I'd plan out weekends with my nieces, things like trips to the bookstore or science experiments, and trips to local attractions, museums, trampoline parks, etc. I didn't really have any adults that cared about spending time with me as a kid. I want my nieces, nephews, and my own kids to have a much more involved experience. I see caring for my brother's kids as practice for when I have my own. My ex found it creepy. Even the fact that me and my brother hug when we see each other weirded her out. One I only discovered recently. When a person going through some difficult stuff is less friendly and cheerful around you than they are around other people, it can make you feel defensive. You might think it means they're upset with you, but sometimes it can mean this person feels safe, expressing their more vulnerable emotions around you. It's really counterintuitive. Edit. Didn't expect much traction with this one, but I wanted to add some good points responders are making. If the person is like this all the time, that's not a green flag, that's a straight up red flag. And if they are verbally or otherwise abusive, that's also a red flag. What I described above is strictly about a person being less friendly and cheerful, not aggressive abusive, while they are going through some difficult stuff, as opposed to all the time. Oh yes, this is so true. I remember being very distressed when I noticed my boyfriend was often more dull and expressive of his stresses with me compared to his friends, especially when he was going through a rough patch. But as it turns out, he was just far more comfortable sharing his problems with me. Being overly interested in you. I thought my husband was full of shit because he was so nice to me while dating. 6 years later, it turns out he's just genuinely a good person. Mayo, I love the idea of you just casually side-eyeing this man through various major relationship milestones before standing in a beautiful home with a beautiful family being like, oh my god, he's actually just a good person. Well, shit. I guess I'm in this one for the long haul. Hey babe, I got you some donuts on the way home. I love you. Oh, fine. I guess you're alright. Maybe overly kind. Someone that loves and appreciates you like a golden retriever. Some people distrust happy and warm people. One of my good friends at university was a friend of a friend first, and when I was first introduced to her, I didn't warm to her very quickly because she was just so nice, I thought she had to be fake. She was asking me questions about myself, and although my answers were quite standard mundane, she seemed to show a genuine interest in what I was saying with some excellent follow-up question. I didn't trust that sort of engagement. Her smiling and eye contact, it felt like she was so good at being nice to be around it. Had to be an act. As I got to know her more, it turned out I was just broken, and she was absolutely that nice of a person. She's doing well in life, and I can't think of anyone else who deserves that more. One of my school friends was like this. She was this super friendly person, but with a slight posh British accent from growing up in another country, and I thought she was absolutely putting on an act with how nice she was. I was very wrong. She is actually a lovely person, and I still catch up with her occasionally. Someone that loves and appreciates you like a golden retriever. That's just my vibe. Big, dumb, and happy to be here. Also, I love head scratches. Clear boundaries. If you come in with emotional immaturity, boundaries can seem cruel, arbitrary, and alienating. At the same time, I've seen people use boundaries as excuses not to address real issues. Therapy speak has worked its way into a lot of people's vocabulary, and it's genuinely a problem. Plenty people will demand insane things and go, please respect my boundaries. Well, the real problem is that they're using these terms incorrectly. They say boundaries but then demand something that has nothing to do with boundaries. I knew a guy like that. His brother was the same way. I never distrusted him, but as a person with more baggage than Kylie Jenner's closet, it was definitely odd to me. Coming from a pretty damaged background, I haven't met many genuinely kind and happy people. He was a joy to be around, and so was his mum. Just wrote about her in another comment. Once a girl made fun of my colorblindness on the first date. Huge grey flag. Matthew Broussard. Regret after screwing up could be misinterpreted as love bombing from an abuser. Is that the kind of thing you mean? What's love bombing? In an abusive dynamic relationship, an abuser will typically flood kindness and loving gestures as their partner after doing or saying something terrible. It's part of the cycles of abuse. For example, they may cut down their partner emotionally to make them feel unworthy of other people's love and attention, and will then turn around and shower them with compliments. But you're beautiful to me. Oh, I just love X, Y, and Z about you. Or sometimes they'll give gifts to demonstrate their affection that are actually being used to manipulate and control the abusee. Effectively, they create a contrast between the way they want their partner to see the world, scary, unloving, unwanting, and the way they want to be seen. I am your only source of compassion in this dry existence. It's a terrible cycle that often takes the abused way too long to break free of. I think a lot of young people misuse this term now. I hear everyone say it means being really affectionate early on in a relationship and then ghosting someone right after, which is false. Being quiet, reserved. It can easily be interpreted as someone being boring, not fun, unintelligent, etc. But it can also be that someone is mature, has good internal guidance, or just humble. Someone being genuinely, unsay nice. We're so used to people either being shitty or downright manipulative that we're on guard when someone is nice without a financial or other self-interested reason. I've never seen a quiet person be unintelligent. The dumb ones tend to be loud and proud. Bro, when I was dating, I had men get upset with me because I would admit when I was wrong. Why don't you put up a fight because I'd still be wrong like Huff? That's more of a philosophical question of whether altruism is actually possible or not. Not having any social media. Yeah, it's pretty fucked hearing from women that not having a social media presence is a red flag before. Problem is, there are two types of people with no social media. Normal people who just don't care for the drama, and crazy conspiracy theorists who are obsessed with being off the grid. What if I'm mostly a but maybe a little bit of B? sharing your insecurities. If you are comfortable enough with a partner to explain what makes you tick, I'd say that flag is greener than a traffic light. Holy shit, this blew up. But traffic lights are sometimes red. I'm confident I got passed up from a job when I said, I don't have a social media presence. If it was required, then I'm glad I didn't get the job. The person who did get the job ended up being a child molester. He had 6 Snapchat accounts, each one to a different minor, according to the news. I applied again, and didn't get it again. The guy they hired ended up being in trouble for fraud and embezzlement, and was on an FBI wanted list. I applied again, and I didn't get it again. The guy who currently has the job is in the middle of a divorce, and one allegation, made public on social media, is that he did some inappropriate stuff with his stepdaughter, who didn't come forward until she moved out of the house. I can't figure out if I should commit crimes first, or open dozens of social media profiles and target minors. That's clearly who they're looking for. Quick responsive texting. None of this wait as long as all one-day shit. Got something to say, then please do. No game? But traffic lights are sometimes red. When you build a PC and attempt to start it for the first time, you may see it start up, but then immediately stop. This is fine, and usually good, because if it didn't do anything, you would know something was wrong. It typically starts back up on its own after a second. As long as you see it post, you're fine. Color blindness. Still being friends with exes, lots of people take that as a red flag for getting into a relationship alternative view. You mean every previous relationship you've had has ended toxically? Seems to be one common factor here. Totally depends on what kind of friend you are to your exes. Super codependent, drop everything. Hang out extremely often, best friends, huge red flag. Occasionally texting or hanging out and/or blended into your friend group to the point that you wouldn't realize they're exes until someone tells you, actually a green flag.